Welcome back, guys. Here we go. First time getting to use the multicolor, and I need to just square this patch up here. And I can't wait. This is a very first job getting to use it on this patch, and just gonna have to use the wee Spear and Jackson square here. Just try and make the cut nice and square so that it's not too hard to cut another piece and get it all fixed in. But yeah, just a wee quick one. The mate fell through the ceiling here. Lucky he didn't come right down and land on the girlfriend's head. That would have been an absolute disaster. Although I think the bit of plasterboard did land on her head, which is not so good. I think they were loading some stuff up. Obviously, just got a nice hatch fitted, or that might have been there when they got the house. I'm not actually sure. But I'm here to get it all fixed up, and first things first, need to get it cut out and see what kind of joists I have to work with to fix another wee piece of plasterboard. So better taking your time on preparation, guys. I'm always saying it every single video. The better your prep is, just the easier the next stage is, and the next stage and the next stage. It'd be like just like building the house. If you've done the founds good and strong, then the house most likely will follow and it won't just collapse. But yeah, have to use a wee pencil. I think the wee girl dropped that in the van. It's like a double-ended pencil, one side purple, one side pink. But there you go. Still works. Couldn't find my joiner's pencil, but here we go. This is the shape that I want to cut out. If you can make that out, I'm not 100% sure. But just get you set up here, and hopefully I don't block the camera here with my big body. But yeah, gonna get it all cut out now. Ideally should have had a wee pair of gloves on and a wee mask, but shouldn't be cutting it for too long, so just holding my breath. Again, maybe a wee hoover held up might be good. This Evolution cutter, you just flick the switch on and it stays on, and it has like 5 gears. So if you're cutting a bit of timber, you want to cut a notch out, use it as a chisel. You just need to flick it up full power. I have it full power here, and it's as expected. It's just absolutely mauled through the pencil marks right through. Just trying to be careful at the same time, as you know, just in case there's any wee wires there that shouldn't be. So I'm not trying to go right through the plasterboard, as you know, sometimes pipes and wires aren't actually halfway up them timbers, and you know, if you were really unlucky, you could catch them. So I'm just going easy. Did have a bit of a hand up around it as well before I did just tear into cutting it, and I couldn't feel anything, but at the same time, just want to go nice and easy and make sure. There's a wee bit of cardboard just placed up there, and I'm just gonna try and leave it there if possible, as it'll be holding up any insulation so it's not falling out all over the place. I think what we use now is rock wool, but years ago, this is a pretty fresh and new house. As you can see, everything looks nice and tidy and clean. But years ago, they used to use like a fiberglass insulation, and I think I'm allergic to it because it's really itchy. Wee bit gets down around you. But very impressed with the multi-tool cutter, guys. Extremely impressed. It's got all the strength you need, and look at that. Couldn't really ask for a cleaner cut. And the only thing I have left to do now is just add in my joists and cut a bit of plasterboard. That being said, there's quite a lot of timber there to already work with, but I'll try and maybe get another one in and make sure it's nice and secure. So here we have it, a little bit of timber, just adding it in, and then just need to cut my board and get it screwed up. Just using my wee light Makita screw gun. Find it brilliant, especially when you're doing larger jobs with lots of lots of boarding or something. The batteries could last a wee bit longer than a big battery, and it could be a wee bit more powerful, but at the same time, the lightness makes up for that. And I've had it quite some time. Not sure if it's going to last much longer, but still a good wee cordless drill, pretty light. But definitely will have to keep my eye open for a replacement. Probably give the Evolution screw gun a bit of a test out and see how that comes on. But here we are, just adding in an extra wee bit of support here. And I've went to this side, a wee bit of lath in. It's pretty good because I've already got 3 sides here already started. You don't normally get just so lucky when you come to cut a bit of board out. Sometimes you cut it out and there's no timbers and you have to sort of add bits in all the way around. As long as the original ceiling isn't bowed, you're grand. You can just put a bit of timber on and screw up your plasterboard. 3 screws in each one, and it isn't going anywhere. If you wanted to be really, really secure, you could maybe even grip fill the back of it, or some kind of glue on the back of it. Even maybe I don't know, anything like that if you wanted to go absolutely mad overkill. But if you just screw the sides in, it's going nowhere. It's strong, and you can you're gonna have to plaster it anyway, so they will be filled in as you go. But yeah, cut this here to size, but there's always still that wee bit of trim to do, as I want to slide it just slightly under the wee lip of the hatch door. Don't want to have it sitting out too proud. Just want it to just slide in there and go in underneath, and that way when I plaster the ceiling, it'll follow suit then. As and I don't want to fall too short either. You kind of want it a wee bit snug. Otherwise, that's definitely an area that they would want to crack. And I'll get to that shortly. As you guys, the subscribers that watch the most will know for a fact that when it comes to patching, I like to go to the original. I don't want to be putting scrims, overlapping it, and then flushing out. Did have to do a job like that not so long ago, where the house was dry lined and there was lots of patches, and you couldn't really dry line it. Just patched the whole thing and just swiped it out. So I did do it that way, but sometimes you're forced to go out past the patch. But where you're not forced to, I like to just offer the scrim tape up and then flush it in that way, so that you get an absolute perfect joint. To me, patching's all about the edges, guys, obviously. The cleaner you get those in, the better of a result of a job you're going to have. And again, when you are boarding, the tighter you get your boards, the easier the job's going to be. Like I said, preparation. If you leave yourself big, massive amounts to fill out, it's going to be dropping down, out, and drying different. So the neater you board it, the easier it is plastered as well. Again, have been to some nightmare jobs where the boarding's been done for you, and boards, busted paper. So you're dealing with chalk drying and screws maybe not fully in, and maybe not even half screwed. Again, that's why I always say to you is to assess the job before you even do anything. Make sure you have what you need. But you should always sort of bring that. Like if I'm coming to a patch job, I'll kind of bring everything I need: bits of timber, screw gun, now this multi-tool, but usually will have just been a knife. I nearly busted the board there, and I had to cut a new piece, which would have been a nightmare. But yeah, so always try to come armed to the teeth with everything that I might need, so that I don't have to go run about. I can just say, I don't know if you've noticed, but I have a pretty big van, so there's no excuse not to be able to have everything you need for each job in the back of it. It's like an actual it's like a shed with wheels. So no. So back to the job here, and as you see, I'm getting on pretty well. I have the board up, and it's looking nice and snug here. And I'm just making sure I put plenty of screws in. That's one thing I do try and do, guys, is overscrew it. If you will see that when it comes to plasterboard my own ceilings, I'll probably put 6 to 7 into each plasterboard joist, and the likes of this here, it's such a small patch. Realistically, 4 screws would hold it, and 4 screws would hold the couple of bits of timber that were put in. But I probably went 3 all around every edge, and 3 again holding timbers, so that this thing is solid. Again, you gotta remember that most cracking happens to plaster because of movement. Obviously, water damage or somebody falling through the ceiling will for sure cause a crack. But yeah, it's all about movement, guys. And there probably will be a wee bit of movement up there now and again. So trying to make sure I have it well screwed. As you can see, there's quite a lot of screws around it. So that's that ready, and just mixed my stuff up already. And just did it in the back of the van in my shed with wheels. But just checking everything's still nice and good, and then I'm just going to offer my scrim tape up to any wee joints that have wee bits of voids, and make sure that I cover them. Don't want to overlap the existing ceiling. I don't see the point. It'll just create a bigger bump, as I have to add more material to cover the scrims. Realistically, 2 coats to cover the scrims. When I'm plastering the ceiling, I actually coat all my scrim tapes with a coat. I'm getting a bit frustrated with the scrim. I can't seem to find the start or the finish. But yeah, so I actually coat all my scrim tapes with a coat of stuff, a good healthy coat of stuff, and then I'll go ahead and I'll first coat the whole ceiling, and then I'll go ahead and I'll second coat the ceiling, which actually means that the joints technically are getting 3 coats. So you're well up past them scrim tapes, and there's minimum chance of them shining through when you trowel off. Obviously, you do tend to get sometimes scrim bubbles on you, but again, that's more the reason to do that first wee coat around them. And like I'm saying here, is so if you wanted to really overlap that patch would be like 3 times the size, just to feather it out onto the rest of the ceiling, so it's not an obvious lumpy bumpy patch. Whereas the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to offer the scrim tape up here if I ever get it started, and I'm going to scrim any wee small gaps. It's not actually too bad. It's pretty tight the way I have it cut there, so it's not just so bad. But I'd rather add a bit of scrim and give it that chance as well. I know some guys say that it's not really beneficial, but it certainly is. It definitely works. I have been back to other people's houses that I've patched in, friends and family, and I've done it this exact method, and the ceiling's been painted, and there is there's no cracks. In fact, it's actually patched in so flush that on 1 or 2 of the jobs I literally cannot find. I knew what area the patch was in, but I couldn't actually see it. It wasn't there. It was as good as invisible. And like I said on a previous one there, a painter, and I didn't even know he was a painter at the time, but he asked me did I always patch like that, and I said yes, I always try to patch it to the original. And he said he painted a few patches and they were pretty good. He says they were the way I went about it, the methods that I had used were brilliant. He said that basically he knows straight. He actually said he knew straight away as soon as he rubbed his hand across it that it was going to be a good job while painted. So you can actually see, if there is a painter coming behind you or a homeowner, they might be a wee bit nervous of painting patches because they're the last person to touch it. Anything looks bad, they could potentially get the blame of that, and being a painter, your final job is it's going to get you your next job, same as a plaster. But that painter was very impressed, and now that was him saying that to me, that it was a very, very good job, and when it was painted, it it was just as good as the original wall right through. So that's the kind of thing I'm trying to teach you guys on the channel, so that you can do it the same way that I do it and get it nice and seamless. So although this is a small job, I'm still giving it 2 coats. Sometimes when you do patches like this and you're the one boarding it, and sometimes most times you're better going with like a 9 mil board, the smaller thinner boards, other than getting the 1/4 inch, because if it was only skimmed and it was a 9 mil board and you come with the thicker plaster board, it's going to be 12 mil or whatever it is. It's going to be a bit of a nightmare, and you will have to feather it in. You'll have to feather in the rest of the ceiling just to meet it. So I tend to try and keep the thinner board, and go for that. It's a bit lighter to work with and easier to cut and stuff as well. And then I would prefer to, even maybe bond it out if I had to, or just mix up nice stiff plaster and push it in. I always get asked what plaster I'm using, so the answer to that question is Carlite. But we do use multi-finish as well. The methods for both are the exact same. You can use Carlite or multi, and everything I show you is down from mixing to scrim tapes, the plasterboard, every single thing, the PVA and gritting, whatever it might be, sand, cement work. Both multi-finish and Carlite finish are pretty much the exact same. To me, Carlite is that wee bit nicer. It's a wee bit finer, a wee bit easier to trowel. The fat comes up nicer. It's easier to fill in. Just a wee bit, all round, just a slightly better product. Now I do say slightly because I have used multi-finish loads, and I do find it quite a strong plaster as well. So can't really knock it too hard, but I do. When you use the both of them over and over again, you know which one you prefer. But yeah, that's it all on, guys. Probably waited a good 15 minutes, probably washed out there. Something I'd recommend you to do after you coat your plaster: get your hawk clean, your bucket scoop clean, your bucket clean. Any tools you used, wash up your trowel. Have yourself some nice clean water ready. Whether you use a spray bottle, a brush, a sponge, whatever you want to use to clean the edges and wash it down. Again, spray bottle versus brush. Definitely, I'll do a video on that alone. That's just a mad topic. Some people really swear by their spray bottles. Me personally, it's got to be a brush, especially for patching. How do you wash your joints and stuff if you don't use a brush? And you can see, not using a big pile of water here. I'm actually only using like a wee 3-inch brush here at the minute, as just a wee close in, just trying to make sure my level's good. The other thing is, when you do wash out, if you have a wee bit of plaster left over, maybe keep it on a bit of an area where you can, if you need a wee drop, you can use it maybe on a bit of a board or something, a bit of scrap board, or on an empty bag of plaster. Depends on the size of patch. Obviously, patches don't take that much material to actually press in. A lot of times I go to these patches, I have to open the full bag for a 1/4 of a bag out. And the other thing I always find is, if I didn't mix up like a good 1/4 of a yellow bucket or a good half yellow bucket on a patch, that I have to go and mix more, like another hawkful, just to get it filled out and done. Although I do think I'm getting better, my experience, I'm still learning myself, but I do think that my experience, that's starting to happen a lot less often, and I'm finding that I'm more with, you are better mixing that wee bit more, just to make sure you get the patch done, and then just dump the other wee half a huckful or a couple of scoops, whatever it might be. But we're actually on to the second trial on the video now, and it's coming in absolutely a dream. And it's going to look fantastic painted. It's going to look invisible. Might actually, if I get a chance, I'll get a wee picture of it all painted and drop it onto the channel, just to let you guys see it. How seamless it comes in when it's painted. See if I have to bite my lip, or is what I'm saying actually true? Does it come in perfect when you actually work to the existing wall? To me, it's a no-brainer. It's got to be the way forward for anybody learning plastering. And again, even if you do scrim it over the top and overlap it, it can still potentially crack. It's all about finding out what causes things cracking. For the likes of, it's movement that causes things to crack. It's water, it's dampness, it's all them sorts of things that causes cracks in the first place. So, if you will fix it and you will screw it up and you scrim tape it the way I showed offered up, and you maybe even PVA around the edges, you're really minimising movement for a start. Really, my advice on patching, guys, is just try to be as tidy as possible, especially around your edges. Try and wash them a good few times. Sometimes I myself do slack on that, and then when the stuff starts tightening up, it gets a wee bit harder to actually wipe off the edges, sort of your access when you're trailing it off, when you're stroking across the edges. It seems to be, you know, if you can keep that a bit tidier as you go, it'll make for an easier job. It'll also mean you won't trail any old dirt in. But here we are with the third and final trial here. Might give it a wee quick flexi after. Again, sometimes you're better if you are doing a patch, and maybe one or two patches in the house and you get them on. Sometimes you're better going away and washing things and cleaning up, and then get them troweled up like I did here. And then if you have calls to make, or go and eat your lunch and take yourself 20 minutes, 30 minutes, as sometimes you can almost, it's like watching paint dry. You don't want to just have to keep trialing at it, because you'll actually just slow down the setting more likely, because you're adding water and diluting it, and you don't want to do that. So you want to give it a wee bit of time to pull in, to start setting off and start curing a wee bit before you go on the next stage. Again, I can give you timings on videos if you really want. I can drop them in, but to me they're a wee bit pointless, because on every job I do the timings are different, so it's very hard to get a T. I could give a good average. I could have an average of timings of from when you mix to when you get your last trowel on. I could give you a bog standard average. But here we are, guys. Flexi troweled, finished. Another wee quick wipe to do here, and a clean up. And this job's as good as done. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. If I missed anything out, let me know.
What we do in life echoes in eternity.